Hello everybody, day 2 of the 5 days for new sleep consultants to start, launch and grow your business. And I'm super excited that you're here. First of all, I'm super happy that you're here. But second of all, you are so smart of being here today because everything we're going to talk about today is the legal aspects of your sleep consulting business. And most of them are often overlooked by sleep consultants. I've seen this a lot. So not only will everything I'm going to share with you today help you protect your business legally, but these tips will save you time and stress and money in the long run. So first, before we get started, I'm not a legal advisor. I'll share all these insights. They're based on what I've seen, heard, and experienced by working with hundreds of sleep consultants in the past couple of years. So if you have specific questions, make sure to always consult with professionals for legal matters specific to your situation. Okay, today we're going to talk about 5 things regarding the key legal aspects. And the first one is business registration, then website, then we're going to talk about media, so photos, videos. We're going to talk about contracts and we're going to talk about the FTC regulations, and there are some new things that happened in the last couple of months that I want to share with you as well. So what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write things down that come up while I start sharing about all these legal aspects. And I don't want you to just write down the information that I'm sharing. I want you to write it down as an action step. So something that you would put on your to-do list. So by the end of this session, you have a clear plan of all the things that you need to be doing for your new business, because there are things that I'm going to share today that are not relevant right now if you've not certified yet or if you've not registered your business yet. But there are things that are going to be important in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, depending on how long it takes for you to get everything set up and started. So write it down as an action step. So at the end of the session, you have a clear plan of what needs to be done. Yes? Okay, then we're going to start with the first one, and that is the business registration. Now, if you signed up for this workshop, you should have received by now a link to 3 of my free resources that are amazing to get started with as a new sleep consultant. And one of them is how to register your business. Now, so today I don't want to go too deep in how to register your business and all the things you want to be thinking of, because you can find it there. I would suggest just check the PDF. It will give you so much clarity on, like, when do you start the insurance, when do you open a bank account, what kind of business formats are there, and all this information. So just take a look at that, and that will give you enough guidance, I hope. One thing I do want to talk about, and that is something that I wish I had done right with the first business that I started almost a decade ago, and that was to secure my domain and create a business email address from the beginning. I didn't do this. I thought, no, I'll just create it first, and then when I feel that everything is nice and set up, and then I'll open that. But the moment I started talking about my business, so the website was not there yet, people started reaching out to me. It was an online language school that I built. And then people started reaching out to me, and I got emails between my personal emails, and there was dentist, and then there was a client proposal, and then there was like a spam email about a yoga retreat or something, and everything was just getting such a mess in my inbox. And the moment I decided, okay, this cannot be any longer, I need to have an official business email address, I had no idea where to look, where to start. Everything looked so expensive, and of course I had no money, just like you probably in the beginning of your business. And so I'm going to show you in a bit, or I'm going to tell you in a bit what I've ended up with. But so when I got this business email address, I started moving things over to this business account. And so I switched some emails there, but I had already some clients that I was working and calling and messaging through my normal email address. So I slowly switched them over, but then old conversations were still on my personal email address. And then the moment I hired a VA, oh my gosh, it was such a mess, because I didn't want to give this person access to my personal email, but in the business emails he had a lot of information that was missing from previous clients, because that was in my... Don't do that. get your domain as soon as possible. When you register your business, that means that you're clear on the name of your business. Get a domain with this name and also open a business email address. Now, what I like to use myself is Google Workspace. I love Google, all the products that I've set up, and the Google Workspace works really well for me. But it's like, I think it's like $8 American dollars a month. There is another way to get a way much cheaper email address. So this is what I've done for a company that has a high ticket. So there's very little clients. So this is not an email account that I work a lot with. But this is through Namecheap. So check it out, Namecheap. I think I pay like 97 cents a month to keep this email address open. So it does look professional, but it's not something that I have to work in every day because it's an email address that is based on their platform. And yeah, so those are great options. Also, I know if you open a domain name through GoDaddy, for example, again, Namecheap does that as well, also for a very little price. But GoDaddy, for example, it's like around $12 to $20. You have a domain name a year. I mean, $12 to $20 a year. So it's super cheap. And I know GoDaddy also has an email address. I just love Google, but that's up to you. But there are solutions, and it doesn't have to break the bank. But it shows you immediately way much more professional when you have a URL that is yours and that's connected to your business. And it's also a little bit of a protection, right? To make sure that you secure that for your business. Okay, I'm not going to go into more details. We're going to move on to the second one. And the second one is your website. That's what I want to talk about today. Now, besides having a professional, on-brand, good working, mobile-friendly website, it's very important that your business is also legally, and your website is also legally correct. And for this, there are two very important things that I want to talk about regarding your website today. And there's one I talk a lot about on Instagram because I want people to take action on it. I still see it too much. And I call it the most important page of your website, because if you don't have this page, it can cost you greatly. There have been fines going around of $25,000. Like, it's insane if you don't have this page. I hope you know by now what it is, otherwise I don't do my messaging good enough. But it's your privacy policy. So your privacy policy, if you scroll down all the way to the bottom of a website, it should be there in the footer, easy to be found. And a privacy policy is very important for a couple of reasons. And these are the most important ones. It's legal protection. So it helps you to comply with the rules and the laws of the state and the country you're registered in, but also the clients you work with. So if your business is registered in the US and you have clients from Europe, you also need to comply with the laws that are counting there. Again, I'm not a legal advisor. This is just my own information, what I've collected over the years and trying to understand all these kind of things to be able to give you some insights and so you understand what's going on. If you want to have clear, specific data, specific to your business registration and where you're located, please find a legal advisor who can, so you can make sure that it's 100% correct. So legal protection, but a privacy policy also builds trust. Right? It shows your clients, if they're on your website, maybe not consciously, they're not going to look for your privacy policy. But it's that unconscious feeling because we're so used to see that now on all those websites. And that shows your clients that you handle their data responsibly. Because that's what a privacy policy does, right? It's explaining, I'm going to explain that in a bit. I just want to say the third point is that it avoids risks. If you have a privacy policy, you prevent legal issues and penalties, and I think that's the most important thing, to not get screwed over by paying a lot of money. So the privacy policy, what needs to be included? Why is it so important? Because you have to explain about the data collection. So what kind of personal information you're collecting. You need to talk about uses. So how do you use the personal information of the people who are going on your website? How do you use that? And don't think like, oh no, I don't collect. Yeah, your freebie is collecting information. By having cookies installed, you're collecting IP address and information. So you're collecting definitely information, even if they would not leave their email address anywhere. So you want to be covered for that. Also third parties. Because if you share data with others, and maybe again, not consciously, but it's being shared, then you want to be sure that the third parties are also following, and that you're not going to be blamed for that, legally having issues with that. And the last one is your client rights. So what are their rights regarding to the data? Do they have the right to say, I want you to remove me out of your system? And how long does it take? And how can they do that? So these are all things that needs to be included. Now, how to get a privacy policy? You cannot just write something down. It doesn't work now anymore. You can do that with your terms and conditions. Although be careful with that as well, but you could do that. But the privacy policy not. So how to get one? There are several ways. You can use a generator. If you go on Google and you type in privacy policy California, for example, there are a lot of law firms and websites who are having generators. So they just ask you, what's your business name? What is your email address? What kind of things need to be covered? What is your service? And you just click and type some words and put it in, and then at the end you pay a certain amount, and then you can print a privacy policy that's generated by this company. You can also go for customizing templates. For example, the one in Europe, the GDPR, you can go to their official government website and you can literally get the template that they've created. That needs to be everything that needs to be involved in the template. You can just literally take it, make sure that all the data is correct, and you change where it says your business name, you put your business name, and you change and you make sure that everything in it is exactly what you're doing, and then you can use that on your website. You can also consult a lawyer and give your information and they write it up for you. Please, 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 please. This was very tempting when I started, and my friend did this, and there was a huge mistake and she had to pay big time for it. Don't copy another person's privacy policy. If you're looking at another person's sleep consultant website and you're like, oh, that's a great website, that looks all professional, I'll take their privacy policy, copy paste, change the business name, finished. Don't do that. So what happened to my friend is she did that. She had like a small Etsy shop, and she made a website for her jewelry, and it was all very simple, very basic, and she had not the money and didn't want to put that in there, and she thought, oh, but look, this Etsy shop and this jewelry, she's doing exactly the same what I do. So she took this policy, this privacy policy, changed it, put it on her website, and she was fine for, I think, 11 months that she kept it running there. And then at one moment she gets an email from somebody, a lawyer, saying that she's illegally using a privacy policy template from a company that she's not paying for. So what happened, this other jewelry website, they used a generator, they paid a monthly price for this privacy policy that was on their website, but because she copied it, they found her and they said, you're not paying for this. So now she got into court. It was a whole drama, and in the end she got away with I think she paid 3.5k to quit it, and of course she had to remove a privacy policy and replace it in a proper way. So your privacy policy is very important, and as I said before, its specific regulations depend on where your business is registered and where your clients are from, where your clients are located. So make sure, even if your privacy policy is up on your website, make sure that it stays up to date, regularly review it, keep your eyes open with changing laws and everything, so you're sure that you're not gonna end up with any legal fines. So that was one part of the website, your privacy policy. Now another thing that I wanna talk about, which also I see a lot of sleep consultants are neglecting, and if you have a website already, scroll down and check if this is in your case as well. In the footer of your website, all the way in the bottom, you want to have a copyright notice. And this is to protect your content. So a copyright notice is first your copyright symbol. So this says copyright protection. Then you want to have the year. And the year is, when you start a website, you put a year, and you want to make sure that every year you update that. Now, this is a little bit conflicting information. Again, if you want to know it specifically and you want to do it perfect, then I would suggest ask a legal advisor. But there are two sides that people are talking about this year in your copyright notice. And some people say this is the year that your business was created, and so they keep the year, so it says, for example, 2021. And some people say, no, whenever you make a small change, update it to that current year, so it stays up to date, and people who are going on your website knows that everything that is there is relevant, is up to date, and it's something that you're on top of. Now, what I find, this is the way that I go. I always make sure that it's the current year that is on the website. If your business, I can see myself doing that. If my business is there for like 10 years, I think I would add the year that I started with a little dash, and then the current year. So for example, 2014/2024, a dash, sorry, 2024. So that's something you could consider, but I would highly recommend against just putting the year that you designed it and keep that there, because it looks a little bit like you're not on top of it, right? And then, so we have the copyright symbol, we have the year, and then you want to have the name of your business. You want to have that, and this is holding the copyright. So, for example, if you go to my website, you can see it. If you go to sleepconsultantdesign.com and you scroll all the way to the bottom, you see that it's copyright 2024 Sleep Consultant Design. Now, in this footer, I'm not going to talk about it today, you can also include your terms and conditions. I can recommend that. I love doing that, so I don't have to make like a 5 pages contract if I'm working with a client one-on-one. But you can also just put all the information that you want to share with your client in the contract, and don't put the terms and condition on your website. That's up to you. It's just like terms and condition, you can include disclaimers, limitations of liability, all these kind of things. But again, you can also put that in the contract. And to the contract, we're going to come in a bit. Okay, so we have the business registration and we have the website. We're going to move on to the third one, and that is media. So media is photos, videos, audio, all these kind of things that you're using to make your website, your Instagram, your freebies nicer, looking nicer, sounding nicer, whatever it is, right? So it is important with all these kind of things to follow the copyright from these products, these photos, these audios, very, very carefully. The best is not, of course, before I'm sharing some tips, the best is, of course, to use your own photos. So for your website, how cool is it if you do a family photo shoot and you're very clear on your website? And this is what I do sometimes with clients. If clients didn't do a photo shoot yet and they were planning to do it, I'm either way saying like, wait until the website is designed so you know exactly what kind of photo we want where, or give me the photos if your photo shoot is done and I'm gonna make sure that it's integrated. And the more photos you can use of yourself, the better, because this is this authentic connection that we can build with our clients, right? So if you don't have photos or videos and stuff from yourself, materials that you can use, then you can use this from other platforms. There are a lot of platforms out there. I think most of you are probably using Canva to get photos and videos and stuff. So you want to be sure that you prevent any legal issues, right? So Canva, for example, has a licensing agreement that says that how you can use the photos and in which ways are accepted and which ways not. And I can highly recommend, not to scare you, but to read this Canva license agreement to get a very clear idea, to understand what you can do and what you cannot do. Now, in very short, I can explain to you, and this is right now. If they change it tomorrow, don't blame me. So this is why I said read it yourself whenever you're using it. Right now, they have the regulations that photos, unless it's marked, can be freely used by everybody, by anybody, anywhere. So if you want to use photos on your Instagram, if you want to use photos on your ebook, your lead magnet, your sleep plan, this is all okay, except on your website. And they explain it like this. They want to protect that people are not coming on a website and right click and take the picture and then use it for their own stuff. They want to protect it. So they said if you use it on your website, or, and I'm not sure about this, but I think so, a book cover was the same, the website and the book cover, is you need to make a small change, something that the photo is not what it was, how you got it from Canva. So on Canva, you want to add a little element, you want to add some text on it, and this picture you download, and then that picture you add to your website. So be very careful with that, because you need to make a change. You cannot just take a picture and drop it there. So again, these are all things that can cost you a lot of money if you're not aware about what the rules and the regulations are. But by just being on top of that, reading the license agreement, and now in this case we're talking about Canva, but this is also talking about stock photos, or when you're using audio, or on YouTube you find a cool sound and you take that. Always read the disclaimers, read the notice, make sure that you're allowed to use it. Copyright issues are a big, big thing. And nowadays, again, I don't want to scare you, but what people can do with bots and with AI is amazing, is incredible. So what they are doing, some law firms, I don't know if they're law firms actually, companies that work for the law firms, they create a bot, they insert a picture, and they let it scan all over the internet to find that picture that has been used by other people, and then they check, are you really writing down the source, where it's coming from, are you using it correct? And if not, they contact the lawyers and they say, well, you can sue them. And it's freaking easy to get you on photos, video, footage. So just be very mindful. And that's why I said the easiest, the safest, the best way is take pictures, but then you need to credit the photographer, of course, and you can do that in a way that you can agree with the photographer. But these pictures are yours and you can use them freely, and you don't have to be any worried about that. So that is the best way. Or just read the license agreement and make sure that you do it in a proper way. Okay, so that is about media. Now I want to talk about contracts and agreements. It still surprised me that there are so many sleep consultants, and most of the time we have a little chat, and then it's like, yeah, I have this issue with this client, what would you do in this situation? And we start talking, and I'm like, but what is written in your contract? Oh, I don't have a contract. And I'm like, okay, now it's going to be very hard to make your point and set your boundaries if there's not a clear agreement or a contract created. So unless you've clearly explained everything in an email, which is going to be very hard to explain everything that you're doing and your liability and stuff, it's very, very recommended to have a contract, an agreement, something that bonds, that creates an agreement between you and the client. Now, in my template shop from Sleep Consultant Design, I have a contract template, and I want to take you through it right now to show you what the structure is, so you can create it yourself, or you can go the easy way and buy it, up to you. So the first thing that I do in the template is the goal. So what is it that we are agreeing on right now? Why do we make this contract? So you're talking about that you want to get the child to sleep, specific goals that they shared with you that they want to have. I always add it in that first paragraph, and that's the paragraph of goals. So what are their goals? What are your goals? What is the agreement about? So you're also clear. This is what we're working towards, and that's also clear for the family. And then the second section is what I expect from you. So what I expect from them, and this can be different for you, of course, but what I have written is, I want them to read the plan, the sleep plan that I've created. I want other people who are involved, their partner, the grandparents, the babysitter, I want them to read the sleep plan as well. So we're all clear on it. And I also write down that when we're having calls, when they're texting me, when they're sharing information with me, I want them to be super honest and super accurate. And this is a very hard one because people get emotionally involved, and sometimes I had a client who told me like, yeah, and he's been up the whole night. And then the next day we had a call, and then it was 2 hours instead of the 45 minutes that she had the night before. So it felt like the whole night. So we want to encourage parents from the beginning that they provide us with accurate information that is based on data and objective. So it is, again, there's going to be issues along the way, but now you have something to set the expectations. This is what I expect from you. So the goal, what I expect from you, and then the next paragraph that I write is what you can expect from me. And in this paragraph, I explain how quickly I answer, when I don't answer, which days, which timings, within 12 hours, within 24 hours, the kind of support that I'm giving. So that is in that section. Then the next is confidentially. That's the next section. And this is about privacy. So everything they share with me is going to be private. I'm going to protect their child's data, everything that's being shared. But I also write down that I take screenshots from the conversation and I use this in my marketing. And this is something that I also write down. If they don't want that, they can opt out. But standard, this is something that I'm putting in. And I always say, like, the name is going to be removed, the age is going to be removed. I'm going to protect the family. There's not going to be a little picture or anything. But the screenshots are very powerful to share, of course. But again, you cannot do that without a written consent, without explaining that this is in the contract written or in your terms and conditions. So this is a very easy way to be able to use it in a privacy regulated way. Now the next step is payments and refund. And in my payments and refund section, I have that they have to pay before I create a sleep plan. So once they pay, I start creating the sleep plan, and once the sleep plan template is created, there is no refund anymore possible. Payment is non-refundable. So this is my rule. This is what I've set up. So if there's anything happening between the payment and between my creation of the sleep plan, I'm going to give them a refund. Or if we agree on we're going to start in 2 weeks, I would give them a refund. But once the sleep plan is created, it's non-refundable. And then the next paragraph is limitations. So this is really about that you're not guaranteeing any specific outcome. You want to be sure that you write that somewhere down. And not the medical, that's going to come later. The next one is cancellation and rescheduling. And this is the section where you explain, in my case, I always want to have a 24-hour notice if they cancel or reschedule the call. And if not, I'm considering this as a call that's being done. And usually they get 2 or 3 calls, depends on the contract that I'm setting up. But this is just clear boundaries that I'm setting. And of course, you know, if a person is sick or a kid ends up in the hospital and they text me and they're in stress, I'm being very flexible. But again, your contract, you want to be very, very clear and set your boundaries so you always can come back to it. It's better to be flexible with a contract than be flexible without a contract, because then you're going to be all over the place. Okay, so the next paragraph is intellectual property. So you don't want them to share your sleep plan with the neighbors or somebody else, of course. First of all, because you don't want this information to go out. Second of all, if they're following the sleep plan of another person, it's not going to work, and they're going to think that you don't know what you're doing. And so we want to prevent, yesterday I said also, our reputation is everything. So make sure that this is protected. Then I have the disclaimer, and this is where I explain this is not medical advice. The indemnification, so you want to make sure that you're not liable for anything that happens in the time that you're working together. You have no idea how people sometimes start suing you that you're working with it, and didn't happen to me, but I heard a fellow sleep consultant saying that. The woman was in a sleep consultation call. She picked up her kid out of bed and she misstepped, she slipped, and she blamed it on the sleep consultant who was in the call in that moment. Ridiculous, of course, but you want to make sure that you cannot be held reliable for somebody slipping and breaking their foot, or a child that you told them go outside in the morning because it's important to get the sunshine in your face in the morning and activate the system, and then the kid is running to the park and breaks his arm or breaks his foot or whatever, and then like, yeah, I would have never gone there, but it's the sleep consultant who told me. It sounds very silly, but just protect yourself, make sure that it's in there. And then 2 more things, it's the governing law. So this means whenever there's an issue, which state, which law, which jurisdiction is gonna be considered as this is the place where this is gonna be fought out. And then the last one, of course, is the signature. Okay, that was a lot. So let me quickly do a recap. It's the goal, what I expect from you, what you can expect from me, confidentiality, payments and refunds, limitations, cancellation and rescheduling, intellectual property, disclaimer, indemnification, governing law, and the signature. I hope that was helpful. Okay, then we move on to number 5, and this is the last one, and this is about the FTC regulations. The FTC regulations are the Federal Trade Commission, and yes, this is a business based in the US, and these are guidelines that aim to protect the consumers and the clients, to make sure that whatever they see in the advertisements and what they read about the services on your website, on your social media accounts, that all of that is according to the regulations of the FTC. So they want to protect the consumers. Now, like I said already, it's a US business. Europe has their own sort of FTC guidelines, Australia as well, Canada as well, and there's some other countries and continents who have that. But even though your business is registered outside of the US, but you're doing business with a client in the US, it's the same with the privacy policy, these regulations also count for you. And in general, they're kind of the same, and they make so much sense. It's just you need to be aware of them. So there are 4 things that I've now pointed out, and the first thing is the truth in advertising. So whatever you talk about on your social media, on your website, it needs to be truthful, and it should not be misleading. No over-promising. You need to be able to back things with claims. You cannot have false claims about your services or your business. And one of the things that they've now very clearly added to it, and that is about the fake followers. There are a lot of businesses, you see all those big accounts with so many followers. Most of those big accounts have bought their followers, fake followers. There are a lot of websites that you can do that. I highly, highly, highly encourage you to stay away from that, because fake followers are not representing your business in the correct way. Because if you have 10,000 followers, it gives a different image to potential clients who are looking, and so now you're being not truthful in your advertising, because you're making it look like you have a business that has 10,000 followers and a lot of people involved, but this is not the truth. And if the FTC figures that out, and again, be careful, guys. With the AI, they can create bots to check if there are bots, to see if there are bots on Instagram or on your social media account. So if you no, don't buy fake followers. Makes sense. Also, it's not helping your growth of your business, because why are you posting for fake followers or fake bots? If you have already a social media account and you have bought this in the past, then make sure to start removing them. Make sure to clean up your account so the FTC cannot come across your account and see that this is against the FTC guidelines, because this is going to cost you legal problems, fines. You don't want to get in all of that stuff. And again, followers, seriously, and especially nowadays, we think like, oh, 10,000 followers, 100,000 followers, they must be good. This is what the FTC is trying to prevent, that we have this image, because most of them, it's not. And you know, you can have your business so much better running with like 100 followers than like 20,000 followers from a colleague, because if they have like all these fake followers, their account is not growing in an organic way. And you have 100 followers who are all moms, who are tired, who want to have your help. They're going to like all your posts, they're going to contact you, and they're going to follow you, and they're going to buy your services. So it's not comparable. You cannot say a business with 20,000 followers is doing better than 100 followers. It's not. So just keep the organic way, or get followers through ads, which are also real followers, and just stay away from all the fake stuff that is out there. Okay, then the other thing that they're talking about is clear disclosure. So if you start entering the world of affiliate marketing, and I know a lot of sleep consultants are in the sleep pods, slumber pods, there are apps that you can promote. Make sure to always be very clear and open about this, that this is an affiliate link, that it's a referral, that it's, this is one of the guidelines that they made very strong now as well, that this is important. Okay, it says check your internet connection. Are we all still good? Let me see. I don't hear anything. I think we're going to be fine. I hope so. So clear disclosures, very important. The next one is authentic testimonials. Make sure that you don't buy your testimonials. That sounds really weird, but if you say, just be careful with incentives. If you give an incentive to a person who then writes a testimonial, FTC says that is not really a testimonial you should be using because it's not fair. It's not an honest testimonial. So stay away from that. Of course, you can ask for testimonials. There's nothing wrong with that. Or you can send them a questionnaire and you take different sentences, what they wrote in the questionnaire, you create a testimonial, send it back and say, hey, are you okay that I use this? Or you can use screenshots as long as this is clear in the contract or in your terms and conditions. So authentic testimonials, very important. And also another thing, they're talking about endorsement guidelines. Again, if you are promoting another person's business, make clear that that's what you're doing. It's very important to be open and transparent about it, and this will help you stay away from any legal troubles with FTC or any other guideline company. So those were the 5 things that I wanted to talk about today. There are so many legal changes and things happening each year. What I recommend you to do, and it's been working very well for me, just keep your ears and eyes open, and whenever there's something popping up on social media, on the news, or you hear somebody talk about it, or just keep your ears and eyes open. Whenever you hear something, go look into it, see if it's relevant to your business, and make the necessary changes. So for example, when you are promoting some affiliate stuff and you suddenly hear this, go to your terms and conditions, go to your privacy policy, go to your Instagram post, change the text, or your social media account, change the content, make sure that it's clear, and just update it, and that's it. And then you're okay, and then the next post or the next thing that you're putting out, you're sure that you're covered and you know what to do. So for me, that has been working the best way. And again, I'm not a legal advisor. If you need some security or you want to have some safety about everything that's happening legally towards your business, make sure to contact a legal advisor or a lawyer or an attorney, and they can help you out with that specifically for your business. So now, before we move on to the next day and the next topic, I want you to take a look at your list. And I hope that you wrote down a lot of action steps that you need to do. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. Like I said, if you've not registered your business yet, then there are a lot of steps that you're not busy with yet, and that's perfectly fine. But I want you to circle one of those action steps that you can do today. And there's one thing you can do, and if you cannot find anything, then just start writing your contract. So circle one of those things that you can do and start taking action. You don't have to finish it today if you don't have the time, but start. So it preps your mind and it sets you up for success and legally protecting your business. Tomorrow we're going to talk about branding, and I'm going to share with you my 9-part framework. It's very powerful to build the foundation of your business on. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. And if you have any questions, drop them below. And if you want to share what was the most insightful or what was something that you didn't know, I would love to hear that as well. So drop that in the comments below this one. And I hope to see you tomorrow live. Bye.